Thank you for joining me for the Resume Writing and Online Jobs class. I've decided to modify this class to focus on 3 different topics. We're going to start out talking about creating resumes using templates on free services that anybody can get to their computer at home for no cost, like Libreoffice and Google Docs. We'll spend a little bit of time on each of those and we'll learn how to modify and adjust the resumes once you've created something using the free built-in templates. After that, we're going to talk about applying online using built-in sources for individual companies. The example that I'll give is we'll use the Target website and show the process that's involved there. This is something that's going to be specific to each individual company that you might work with, but there are a lot of consistencies between them, and I want to show you some of the roadblocks that come up as you go through the process. Then finally, I want to show you how to use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a popular social media service, but the purpose of it is to find work, whether full-time jobs or independent work, whatever it may be. It uses tools similar to Facebook, but with a more professional aspect intended to it. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on all of those, starting out with working with the resumes here on Libreoffice. Now, if you haven't ever heard of this or worked with it before, it's a free version of the Microsoft Office programs. And so I'm using right now the Libreoffice Writer, which is the free version of Microsoft Office Word. So if you have Microsoft Office Word on your home computer or your work computer or whatever you like to use for this, or you come into the lab and use Office there, that's great. That will work just fine. It will be a slightly fancier version of this, but I didn't want to limit this to people that could afford to spend the $100 for the Office software. So this is LibreOffice. It's downloadable for free, just going through Google and searching for it. The spelling of that is Libre Office. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So when working with LibreOffice and you want to use one of the templates that are available, you would go to File in the upper left-hand corner. And instead of just clicking on New, you would go to the flyaway menu that appears and choose Templates. You can see there are a lot of built-in choices that are available here for new things that you can make. We want to go to the Templates and see what's available there. Now, this is one of the places where you will see a difference between the free version that we are using and the Microsoft Office programs that you would buy through Microsoft. There would be a lot of templates available here if you were using Office 2016 or 2019 or any other recent versions. You would see many, many choices. The free version keeps it a little bit more bare bones. You can simply choose Resume there, or you could go with one of the other ones that's available if you like. I see CV is similar, but we're going to go with Resume today. If this is not to your liking or you want to see what other options are available out there, you can go to any online search and look for resume templates, and there will be a lot of downloadable ones. Just be careful of the source that you get them from. You don't want to accidentally take in any spyware along with that, and that can be a risk. So I'm going to select the resume here, and when I click Open, it's going to open it in a new window. So you see there are now 2 tabs here for LibreOffice, so the blank page that we started with, and now the one that we created. That doesn't really matter, but just in case you're wondering why another window popped up, that's what happened. Some word processors would open it in the existing window. Now, when you come here, we see there's a lot of content filled in already. This is the key thing about how templates work. They are built in with the structure that you want to work with, and you just fill in the details. So they have example, nonsense information in here that you would replace with your own, and I'll go through that and I'm going to show you how this works. If you've ever taken a basic Word class with me, and we will be releasing videos for some Microsoft Word classes soon, you would know that I usually teach people, if you're starting fresh with a word processor and you've never used it before, start out with a blank page so that you can get comfortable working with all the tools and structures that they have before you jump right into the templates. The templates might seem easier and faster, and they're great for getting the look that you want for something like this, but they can be a little confusing to people because there's a lot there already, and it doesn't always behave as you would expect because there's a lot of structure put into place. If your eyes are sharp looking at this video, you might see there are some little marks around different sections of this page. That is indicating the different columns and tabs that have been set up. And you can also see those if you look at the ruler across the top. You can see the indenting that is set with these tabs here and other little markers that control where content is able to go and how everything lines up so nicely. So that is how this structure is created. It was made with these bars. You can adjust these in little ways if you like, and you see how the words your name are moving around for that. And so I could highlight different sections if I wanted, and I could adjust their layout. But I'm going to go with the purpose of the template, and I'm going to use it as intended and keep it there. So I will go in here and I will type in my name. and I'll fill in some more of this information. And as I fill this in, you see I can choose what I want to keep here and what I want to get rid of. I was doing some things there quickly, so if you didn't catch that, I was using the backspace key to delete text that I wanted to remove and then type in something new. And if I wanted to be very quick, I could use the highlighting and go across an entire row by holding down Shift and the arrow key as I moved across that, and then delete what I don't want. Or I could drag with my mouse, that's holding the left mouse key down as I drag across there, and then delete it if I wanted to get rid of any of those. If I wanted to change the appearance of this, I could say get rid of the parentheses and put it like that if I prefer that look. And once I've made whatever changes I want, I can also change the appearance. So if I wanted to emphasize the email, I could make that a little bit bigger. I could italicize the web address if I wanted it to look like that, or I could underline it and maybe make it blue as we are used to seeing web links look. So that would stand out differently. However you want to handle it, that's up to you. All of the basic changes that you would make in Microsoft Word or in any word processor by highlighting and using the formatting buttons across the top will apply within the templates. Some other key things that you will see used in a number of templates are things like radio buttons. If they are radio buttons, that means the individual circles here that have no counting or change that takes place with them. If they are numbered, then you would see them look like that, where they have 1 dot and 2 dot and so on. I am going to undo that change that I made, clicking the little blue arrow there. When I put in my experience here, I can put in whatever I wanted, and I could fill in these blank spots as I wished, making sure everything lines up. You see, notice little things will go wrong with the templates. I had a little blank space in there that I had to go back and delete. That will happen frequently with these. And with the radio buttons, if I press enter, it just creates a new one. And if I wanted to indicate that this was a sub-detail of it, I would press tab right at the start, and it goes into the little hollow dot, so I can have task 3 part 1 and task 3 part 2. Now, of course, as you're doing this, this is taking up space and adjusting the template on down. This one happens to have a fair amount of room for us to add things here at the bottom, so that's okay. So we didn't run out of room there. If this had gone too long, if I added too many dots, this would wrap onto the next page. As was indicated in the description of the class, the purpose of this is to show you the technical skills involved, not to tell you how to make your resume, and I am by no means an HR professional or an expert. I can say, though, as somebody who hires people on a regular basis, if at all possible, keep your resume to 1 page. That's definitely what I prefer when I am looking through them, and I know other managers I've spoken to have said the same thing. So if you find that you've added a lot of things here or typed in great detail about it, and the template is wrapping around onto the next page, you might want to try to reduce the size by changing the font size or removing some of the spacing, whatever you need to do to get this to fit in a little bit better. Now, if you wanted to change the nature of this, if perhaps education wasn't important for this job, if you wanted to talk about qualifications or certifications that you had, then you could change anything that's typed in. You can always go through and change it. You can, in fact, delete things if you don't want to have them there. You can go through and edit however you want to do. See, I got rid of one of those rows when I pressed delete. You just have to be careful of how the layout will change. Notice how they have 2 columns here set up for skills. So I could say, talking while typing into a template, and that will wrap around because, as you can see here, there are 2 different sections separated out of the bar. And then when I go to this, you type other skill, and I can continue on through all of these. And then when I press enter, another line appears there. If I were to go over here and press enter, another line appears there. So even though these are separated into columns, you can type things however you like. This can be a bit of a pain to set up when you're working with a blank document, so this is one of the nice features that a lot of the templates have. Very often, especially with the experience or with education, you want to have dates associated with those, so you want to have them off to the side, and you can use that built-in template there. So that's an example of using LibreOffice. I want to show you something similar with the Google Docs, if that is your preferred free version of working with word processing. So we'll take just a moment with that, and then we'll take a look at some of the online application formats. One last thing, of course, with this, I would want to save this file. So I click Save, and then I would give it whatever name I wanted. ODF is a text document, but you can also save this as a Word template or rich text format, which can be opened by any word processor, or simply a text format. If you go to something other than the default layout, which is the ODF text document, then you might lose some of the features. So I would recommend sticking with this unless you had a reason to change it. So I will change this to resume example, and I will save. Okay, so now let's take a look at Google Docs. So if you haven't worked with Google Docs before or aren't familiar with it, I would encourage you to check out our cloud computing classes or working with Google Docs. We have videos for both of those available online. What I would like to tell you about is if you have a Gmail account, then you already have a Google Docs account. This is a free service that is provided up to a certain limit of storage space, and so you have this available to you if you work with Gmail. If you don't work with Gmail, then it might be easier for you to just download LibreOffice rather than change over to it. That's entirely up to you. They're very similar tools. The idea is a free and somewhat simplified version of Microsoft Word. The big difference is LibreOffice is installed on a local computer, so it'd be your home computer, your laptop, your work computer, wherever you choose to use it, whereas Google Docs is done through the cloud, so you would sign into it using a web browser, and then you would go to whatever you wanted from there. Now, I have opened up a blank document in Google Docs, but we don't want to use a blank document. We want to use a template. So I would again go to File, New, and from the flyaway choice here, I would choose From Template. And you can see lots of options available here. Google Docs has more resumes available than you had in LibreOffice. This is a cloud service, and so it's constantly being updated and changed, and so there's a lot of choices. And if I wanted to, I could look through a long list of these here. You see project proposals and non-disclosure agreements and training proposals, etc., etc. But we're interested in the resumes, and they have resumes right here at the top. Now you can see from the outline different kinds of appearances for this. You can see your name in big text across the top with return address there, or you can have your name in the corner with personal information there, the layout of how the experience works, and then the details, or you have the details on the side and then subheadings there. You can play with this and try whichever ones you like and go through it. I will grab one of them at random. I'll take the colorful one over here. It says Resume Modern Writer. I'll click on that. And it will take just a moment to open this up for us. Now it starts out with a generic name, but I would change this to something descriptive. Sean's resume example, December 14th. And if you're familiar with Google Docs, you can do all the things you normally would. You can move it to different folders. You can star it so that it's a favorite one that you can come back to. That's not the focus of today's class. I just want to make you aware that it's there. You can see with this, it doesn't use as much of the structure as the LibreOffice one did. That's not so much because of Google Docs, just because of the template that we used, but it uses a little bit more text effects. It's not only the coloring, but you see there are different fonts chosen here. I can go through there and I can choose different options. Sizing the bar with this, and everything would be the same as what we saw with LibreOffice. We can go through and change the name. We can change the skills. Notice it did a nice little Google quick autocorrect of my typing there. Instead of just underlining it and saying it's wrong, it fixed my mistake as we went through. And if for whatever reason I decided I didn't like these effects, I can make the same kinds of changes that I did with LibreOffice. I can highlight this and change it to just black text or blue or whatever I thought was appropriate. So very similar to what we were working with the LibreOffice. I just wanted to show you that it's available as a cloud service as well, so you don't have to download something to your computer, or if you don't have a computer and you want to come by the lab or work at other people's homes, you can do that with a cloud account that things will be stored to there. And any changes you wanted to make work just fine. The only difference that you'll notice is when you go to print, it will open it up in a new tab, and kind of like printing a PDF, because you are printing something from a web page and from a browser. So it's a little bit different than printing from the LibreOffice, but you have the print button right there and all the same basic features: bold, italics, underline, font color, font style, size, left alignment, centering, right alignment, bulleted list, numbered list, all the same things that we're familiar with from the LibreOffice. So whatever option works better for you for a free service, I'd encourage you to check that out. So that was a quick view to Google Docs. Now I want to take a look at using a built-in company's website for uploading an application and filling things out there. Now, I chose Target because this is one that we've had a lot of patrons that have come in over the years to ask for help with. This is one example. A lot of different places have the same thing. I've helped people work with Home Depot and the Jewel grocery stores and a lot of other local companies. Instead of taking paper applications, they're centralizing it this way so that you would find things that are near you and try to work with that. Now, this will have a lot of pull-down menus. I'm just going to run through the process and describe it as we go. Of course, I'm not actually applying to work there, so I am not going to complete the process, but I want to show you how this works while we're going through it. So you can choose stores and distribution centers, corporate, or internships, depending on what you're looking for. These features will be different from different companies, but there'll be a lot of consistencies with it. If I wanted to search all jobs based on a keyword, I could type that in, or you could explore local hourly jobs and explore the map. Let's do that. Let's explore the map and see what's nearby. I'll select Illinois, and you see it has 455 store hourly, 3 distribution center hourly, 11 store leadership, 11 store hourly leadership, and 2 human resources. So I'll click on Illinois, and now we're getting a little bit closer. And you see there are lots of targets in the area, and so I can see a lot of choices there. And it says Control+ to zoom in. So I'm zooming in. And say I wanted to work at the Target in Itasca. I could click on that, and it tells me jobs available. Guest advocate, that's cashier or front store attendant. Specialty sales, style, beauty, or tech. GM and food, so general merchandise, clothing, fulfillment, etc. And so I could view all 4 positions, or I could click on one in particular. So let's view all 4 positions. And you see how this is trying to walk you to the correct job that you're looking for, but there are a lot of details involved with it. And I could go to some of the other stores. Say I had misclicked and accidentally got Itasca when I went to another one. I could go to a Target store in Chicago, one in Champaign, Illinois, etc., etc. You see the long list there, and they would all have different jobs available for what is available for that particular Target. Or you could type in the city that you're in, and they would find things near you, whatever you prefer. I'm going to say guest advocate. It keeps opening up new windows, by the way, in case you didn't notice that. That can be a little bit annoying that you have a lot of tabs going, but the one nice thing is if you changed your mind about this, you could go back to where you were and grab the next one without having to redo that search. Now when I go to Guest Advocate, I see Apply Now. And underneath it has a description, so this will tell you about the job. Sometimes they'll give you a lot of details. Sometimes they'll have just general things that they say with all jobs. You'll be a great match if you like working at Target and things like that. Sometimes they'll have, depending on the company, sometimes they'll have specifics about pay or benefits. Again, depends on the kind of job and what you're looking for. So I see Apply Now. I'll click that. And this has a couple of options available. Notice it has sign in with LinkedIn. We're going to talk about LinkedIn in a minute. One of the nice virtues of LinkedIn is that it does work smoothly with a lot of services like this. So if you go to the trouble to create an account at LinkedIn and upload your resume and have all your information there, a lot of times you'll be able to use that existing account and just port it right over by clicking on this. Now, as I scroll down, it has more descriptions. And again, they have the sign in with LinkedIn and apply. I will click apply. And now they want us to create an account. And this is what I wanted to go through this process with to show you. This confuses a lot of patrons that I've worked with. You need to create an account with Target to be able to sign in and work with your existing. Once you've created that account with Target, then you'll be able to sign into an account here, and you'll be able to go back and forth to your application and check the status of it or complete it at a later date. So you would take your email address that you have, you would go to create an account, and you would put in an email address and a password specific for the target website or whatever company you were working with. Once you've created that account, you would then complete the application process, and next time when you came back to check on the status, you would sign in with this account that you've created. Again, this is going to be specific to whatever company you apply for. So if you apply with Target, you would have a different account there than you would if you created one for Home Depot as well, or for AT&T, or whatever companies you apply for. So they're all going to require their own accounts with this. That's another one of the reasons that working with LinkedIn is a little bit easier, because you can have that one central account instead of creating an individual one with all the different sites. So with that, let's go and learn a little bit more about using LinkedIn to help find and apply for jobs. So this is LinkedIn. If you have never worked with LinkedIn before, you would go to linkedin.com and you would create a new account. All that it requests of you is a first name, last name, either email address or phone number, and a password. This is similar to creating an account with Facebook or Twitter or any other social media you might have worked with. If you haven't used social media before, the idea is that it allows loose connections to create more connections. So if you have, say, created a Facebook account, maybe the first people you added were your immediate family and a couple of close friends. And then you saw amongst their friends that there were other more extended family that you didn't know were available on Facebook, and you added them. And then you saw other people and so on. And you get a large web of people that you are connected to and you see updates from and information from. For better or worse, that's how social media works. LinkedIn uses that idea for trying to find jobs or other connections through there. So you would start out in the same way. You would connect to people that you know that are on LinkedIn. If you have any friends or family members that use it, you probably know that already, because typically it sends out emails inviting everybody in their contacts. When somebody goes through this and is going through the job searching process, they will send out a lot of contacts available there. You can search for people by name. You can add people that come up as suggestions. A lot of the same things that you would see in other social networks. But with this, the profile is a lot more geared towards professional experience and education, and less towards casual interests or likes. So I'll show you quickly, if I were to search for somebody here, I would type in a name and I would see a lot of results there. And if any of these were the person I was looking for, I would be able to click connect next to their name. If they were not, then I might search for them by email address instead. So if I click connect, I would then add them that way. You can also search for institutions or organizations. And you can find out information about them there. So if you're wondering, is General Motors hiring or is AT&T hiring, you could search for that library and you could see any posts or jobs that they have available, information like that. So similar search tools from what you might have used in Facebook or other options, but with this you're looking to either find people to connect with or information about the employees at that location. You see there are 39 people who have LinkedIn accounts who list the Bloomingdale Library as their employer. Or you could see any jobs that were listed or available. Of course, not every company or organization posts their jobs on LinkedIn. Some of them use other systems online. Some of them don't post them online at all. But if they do, you'd very often find it here. Let's see, people highlights for employees. There's me. So as I'm going through this, that is the search feature. As we go across the top, you see the home feature. That takes you to the welcome screen that you saw when I first opened this up. Similar to other social media, you have a feed from people that you are connected to, so recent updates from people that you have added and are connected with. A lot of this will look a lot more corporate than a Facebook one, because these are intended to be professional, and so there are things about people's work anniversaries or career milestones or other things along those lines. If you go to my network, you'll see connections that are available, contacts, and so on. So there are people that I'm connected with. You can have people that you follow, pages that you're in, groups that you're a part of. So you might join a group from the university that you graduated from or the high school that you graduated from. You might join a group from a certain professional society if you work independently, things like that. Jobs is where you would search for the kind of job that you are looking for. Or if you are following any jobs, you would see them listed here. Now, when you go to this, you will right away see jobs recommended for you. Now, at this point, I want to talk a little bit about one of the interesting things with LinkedIn, and there are other services that are similar to this, but LinkedIn is the largest of them. Something like 800 million people are registered with it, so it's the premier one for this right now. What LinkedIn does that a lot of just job searching on your own doesn't is once you have created an account and you have put in all of your skills and experience and all the things relevant to your job search, not only can you use that as a way to search for jobs, but a lot of employers will use it as a filter to search for possible employees. So companies that have a professional account for this, now, by the way, your account that you would create is for free unless you would want to upgrade it. That is not something that I have done, but they do have premium options available there. But companies would use a for pay service that allows them to search through and filter. And sometimes if you have very particular abilities or experiences, you might be contacted by a company that is looking for somebody like you, and they might contact you directly. So I've known people in the past to be offered jobs through LinkedIn, not to have sought them out, to have been contacted by people that were looking for somebody with their education or experience and to have brought them in that way. So that's one of the virtues of putting in the time and creating an account here. It's not a guarantee by any means, but if you have specific experience and companies are looking for exactly that, they might find you in a search. So I bring that up because we're going to look at the jobs, and you can see how you can go through here and see recommended for you. The company's equivalent of that would be people recommended for them. And I could go through here and I could either say dismiss this job, I don't want it, or I could say, I highlight that, I'm waiting for the message to appear. Okay, it didn't appear, but I can essentially bookmark that job and say I want to come back to it later. So if I didn't feel like going through all the application process right now, but I just want to keep an eye on something, I could say, okay, maybe I should mark that and think about coming back to that later. If I instead wanted to go through the entire process, I might click on the job and look through a lot more details here. And so I could look through this, and if this was something that I was interested in, I could choose to save the job. And so I've now saved this in my jobs tracker, and I can come back to it later just by signing into my account and going to jobs. Or if I did that accidentally or changed my mind, I could unsave the job. And if I wanted to actually apply for it, I could click apply, and this would use my existing information to push it through directly. So this can be an efficient way to apply to a number of positions or to find things quickly there. Let's go back a step. Now there will probably be a lot of things coming up if you have not put in a lot of restrictions to what you have, and so as you get to the bottom, it will refresh and it will pull up, you see this spinning wheel there, more and more options. If I instead wanted to search, I could put in either from one of the existing categories here that they would do based off of my qualifications that I've already put in here. So I could just say Information Technology Services Manager. Sounds good. Click on that. And I can see jobs related to that come up. Or, as I go back here, I could search for whatever I wanted. And you can put in city, state, or zip code restrictions if you want with that search as well. And in this case, no matching jobs found because my description was not an accurate one or the location was too small. So you see after the search, you can choose how far you're willing to drive to it or to relocate. You can choose when do you want this posted. Do you want to get something that just came out? What experience level is required? So past 24 hours, past week, past month. You can go through any of those. So let me go back to something where we get a lot of results, and I'll show you those filters. So now I could say I want things only posted in the last 24 hours, or things that have been posted for a long time. You can see it goes from 3 to 99 of them. What experience level is required? Choose which company I want. What type of job? Let's say just full-time. And that takes 2 of them off the list. Do I want remote work? Obviously particularly relevant right now. So I choose that. And I choose to apply the filters. And so now I see remote full-time jobs. And so that is still bringing up ones that are posted there, but there are a lot fewer of them. Now if I go to date posted, there's 32 anytime, 1 in the last 24 hours instead of 3. So that's how we use the job search. Then when we find the job that we're interested in, again, I can click on it, learn more about the job, can contact the poster if I had questions about that. Pay range is unavailable. And I can always see more information, or I can begin the application process. So that's a really big part of using LinkedIn. Once you have created the profile and gone through and added all of your information, you will use this job search to both save jobs that you want to come back to or find things that you wanted. If you're interested in working for this company but not this particular job, you might choose to follow that company. Interestingly, it says 1 person from my school was hired there. So of their 1,415 employees, that's not a big percentage, but still noteworthy. So that is using the job search. Very important, very useful tool for LinkedIn. A couple other things that I want to mention here. Messaging. If you've worked with Facebook before or any other social media service, you're probably familiar with the idea of direct messaging. That is what you would use to send messages back and forth. If I click on that, I can see some of these are unsolicited cold call messages from people just sending job information or advertisements. Others might be people that I work with professionally sending me messages here. Because this is a way to contact me. So I can see Dominican University invite you to take the next step. I don't know what that's regarding. I haven't ever worked for them, so that's not something that I'm pursuing, but other of these are actual people I know, so there'll be messages back and forth. There are some of the small little social media things where you'll be asked to send messages to people on their work anniversaries or their birthdays or after they get a new job. But most of it is more professional here than the messaging that we see in, say, Facebook. Notifications are again similar to other social medias. They let you know if people viewed your profile or sent you a message or did anything related to this. So you can look through here and choose to stay in touch with somebody or notice that these people looked at your profile, so they might be interested in you, and you could look into what kinds of jobs they're hiring for. And then finally you have the profile. And when I click on the little pull down arrow, it gives the basic information about me. And if I were to go in and view my profile, then I would see what I have put in here ready for the public. If you've seen my videos that I've shown here before, I do try to keep personal information off the videos just for privacy reasons, but this is intended to be public, so I don't mind this showing. I just want to show you how you would make changes. If you want to edit your profile, you look for these little pencils, and you can click there. You can change your name, you can change the image associated with it, you can change the headline, which is just the basic description of you. If I scroll down a little bit, current position, education, country or region that you're in, and what industries you worked in. You can have a web address or email if you want people to be able to contact you that way. I'm going to discard the changes because I did not mean to make any. They will have recommendations for things that you can add to your profile, and they'll have steps for you to go through. They'll have experience that you can add, and you can put information in there. They'll have education that you can put in, skills and endorsements, so you can list your own skills that you are good at, and people that you are connected with on LinkedIn have the option to endorse them. So if I said that I have experience with computer repair, then people that I know through this can choose whether or not to endorse that. It's not something that comes up and it says your friend chose to say that you don't have computer experience. Just people that know this firsthand would say, yes, I know that Sean is capable of that and he has done this before. Underneath here I have interests, so these are things that I have followed and I'm connected to, and so that is something that you can add or you can click right to them to go and join. So you want to make sure, first thing that you do if you create a LinkedIn account is you would fill in your profile. Once you have done that and you have uploaded all of your information to there, then you can go through and apply to different jobs or search for jobs, bookmark them, mark companies that you want to be connected with, whatever you might choose to do. So this is a service that if you are looking for work, I would encourage you to put some time into it. It can be a good resource both for the applications that we do to those third-party stores. Very often they will have just a used LinkedIn tool, and it can be a nice way to organize your information and always have everything in one place. So you know where your resume is. You don't have to search through a lot of old emails to find it. You know what information you have current there. It can be a nice central place for your job hunt. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any more questions, I'd encourage you to stop by the library anytime. I'd be happy to help as best we can. Give us a call if there's any classes you'd like to see or other things you want us to offer. And with that, thank you again for joining me today, and have a great rest of the night.